This week on Houston Newsmakers, Congressman Babin, what he has to say about immigration and the issues taking place along the Texas-Mexico border. Is there any room for compromise with Democrats? And are there any regrets for voting to overturn the results of the 2020 election and more? And the truth and anguish about the hate against Asians in our country and in our community and what we all can do about it.
From KPRC2, this is Houston Newsmakers with Khambrel Marshall.
And welcome to Houston Newsmakers and to Congressman Babin, representing the 36th Congressional District. Dr. Babin, good to see you again. We talked earlier. Cannot wait to have you in the studio in person. We have a lot to talk about away from the camera, so we'll get caught up at some time soon. But thank you for being here this morning.
Absolutely.
Hey, first I want to get your...
with you, Khambrel.
Thank you, sir. First, I want to get your thoughts about Congressman Dan Crenshaw. Had eye surgery, a challenging time for him, and the news that Congressman Brady is planning to retire after this term.
Sure will. Number one, it's a terrible situation that my friend and colleague Dan Crenshaw finds himself in with his one remaining eye after losing his other eye in a combat situation as a Navy SEAL. I can't thank him enough for his service. My own son was a Navy SEAL as well, with numerous deployments to Iraq and into combat areas. And so we're praying for Dan Crenshaw that this detached retina will be reattached and will be completely successful so that he can continue to see and serve his country in another capacity like he did as a Navy SEAL, but now as a United States Congressman, and a very able one. Right. One of the sharpest individuals when it comes to the social media and these types of things. Very sharp.
Hey, we've had another mass shooting in the United States, Congressman. 8 people dead at the FedEx facility in Indianapolis. Recently, President Biden's been on the offensive with executive actions designed to try to decrease some of the dangers related to gun violence. Your thoughts about what can be done? I know that a lot of folks who are in favor of maintaining our Second Amendment rights really don't want to do anything regarding decreasing that. What kind of solutions do you think we can put into play?
Well, I think number one, we need to start enforcing the gun laws that are on the books right now. We see in a lot of cities and a lot of counties throughout this country, and quite frankly, a lot of these are in Democrat-controlled counties and cities where you have gun violence, and the districts of attorney they simply do not enforce the law. And so I am very, very concerned about some of the plans and some of the bills that have been offered in the U.S. House to control our guns and to get guns out of the hands of those who desperately need them for their own self-protection. It seems ironic to me, Khambrel, that Democrats are pushing to defund the police so that those police officers will not be there when needed. And yet want to disarm us with some of these more radical gun control bills. The Second Amendment's not there, just as an aside. It is there for our own self-protection, and that is a constitutional right. And if gun control worked, then why are cities like Indianapolis or like Chicago, New York, why are these cities some of them have the highest murder rates in the entire country? And we see that in a city like Austin, Texas, where they've defunded the police department there by $150 million, and they wonder why their murder rate is up over 50%. It's happening all over the country. These radical plans to disarm Americans and then defund the police departments. Well, let me tell you, it bodes ill for the American people and our security and our safety.
All right, well, we want to keep moving because we have a short period of time here. You know, no secret that the border has been in a crisis for a while now. That's one of your real focus issues. I know you spent a lot of time on that topic. Images we've been seeing remind us immigration and border crisis really needs attention. Part of it's because of the consequences to the United States. The Trump policy helped to alleviate some of that. But now that problem seems to be back. In the meantime, immigration laws haven't really changed in a while. So isn't that where we need to make some changes?
Well, I think what we need to have is bipartisan bills to solve this problem. We've never been able to get, to square one. And the rhetoric that President Biden and the other Democrat candidates for president were making during the campaign all last year was simply to open up the borders, to let people in, and to decriminalize illegal crossings and what have you. And certainly with this type of rhetoric, as soon as President Biden took office, we had an enormous influx of illegal aliens coming across this border. We had 19,000 unaccompanied children to come across in March. We had almost 173,000 undocumented illegals to come across in that same month. We're spending $60 million per week at HHS to house these unaccompanied minors. And many of these people are being released into the country with COVID positive, as we are being told by the Biden administration to continue to mask and socially distance. I was down there at the border 2 weeks ago and saw things that would just knock your socks off. It's child abuse that is happening down there. I saw one facility in Donna, Texas, run by the CBP that is is supposed to have no more than 250 individuals in it. And there were 5,700 unaccompanied children in this facility, stacked on one another. It was terrible to see. And all President Biden needed to do was just to continue the policies of the Trump administration, like Remain in Mexico policy, the Title 42 public health restrictions to turn people back during a COVID pandemic. Continue to build the wall. These people are funneled through these openings, and they're just coming in and holding their hands up and saying, "Hey, here I am. Let me go into the United States." That's what needs to do.
Well, one of the things I like about you, Congressman Babin, is that there's no problem figuring out where you stand on an issue. That's for sure. I got a lot more we want to talk about. I want to talk about bipartisanship, which doesn't exist. I want to ask you about when that's going to come back. I want to talk about the voting issues that are going across our country now, how much you believe in increasing the voting opportunities or not, and about January 6th. A lot happened there that we need to unpack. Dr. Babin, thank you for joining me this morning and for sticking around for Newsmakers Extra. We'll get to that. That's going to be on click2houston.com. Just ahead, Asian hate. We're going to talk about that, the challenge of fighting it, and the history of trailblazing Asians in Houston.
Chevy is America's fastest growing full-line brand, and people are taking it everywhere. Taking Trailblazer outdoors, confidently taking on new places with Equinox, and taking on more with Silverado. Whatever you do, there's a perfect Chevy to take you anywhere. Get a total value of $5,650 on this 2021 Silverado Crew Cab Texas Edition, or get 0% financing for 72 months on all 2021 Silverado 1500 Crew Cab pickups when you finance with GM Financial.
Mattress Mac Gallery Furniture. Come out to Gallery Furniture today or buy online. A room full, a house full of made-in-America furniture, a Tempur-Pedic sleep set. Buy it today. Gallery Furniture delivers free to your Houston area home in 3 or 4 hours today. We'll haul off your old furniture, replacing absolutely free. Most stores, brick and mortar, and online are quoting 16 to 24-week back order slips. Buy a room full, buy a house full of made-in-America furniture, or Tempur-Pedic mattress today. Gallery Furniture delivers guaranteed to your Houston area home in 3 or 4 hours today. Gallery Furniture saves you money and delivers today.
This is Maine, the place that made me who I am, and the place that gives Poland Spring Origin its naturally occurring electrolytes for a crisp taste like no other. This is my origin, Poland Spring Origin.
Closing arguments in the Derek Chauvin trial begin Monday morning.
What the jury must consider in George Floyd's death. KPRC2 will be in Minneapolis as we await the verdict.
The towers are going up, the phones are coming out, but are you ready? The secrets of 5G Monday morning.
Get the KPRC app for free on all your devices.
For the rest of this program, we'll be looking at the challenges facing the Asian community, both nationally and locally, and what we all can do about it. We've seen the images from various parts of our country, either in Atlanta, where mass shootings took place, or the woman who was beaten in front of a building in New York City. It's been all around. So for the conversation this morning, I've asked Dr. Steve Kleinberg, founding director of Kinder Institute for Urban Research, senior fellow at the American Leadership Forum, and Dr. Ann Chow, adjunct lecturer at Rice University, whose special research is centered on the immigration history of Asian Americans to the South, and to Houston on the advisory board of Kinder Institute for Urban Research and the Chow Center for Asian Studies. Thank you. Glad to have you both here as well. Dr. Kleinberg, to start with you, you've studied a lot on the demographics of this country. Talk a little bit about the Asian demographic in this country and in Houston and how it's begun to shift.
Well, the Asian community is the most rapidly growing community in Houston. It underlies this remarkable transformation we all talk about of a city that was a biracial southern city dominated by white men becoming the single most ethnically diverse major metropolitan area in the country. Asians are a centerpiece of all of that. And it's important, I think, with all these terrible attacks and fears that are being expressed in anti-Asian sentiment, that underline that is a growing embrace of this diversity, right? The rise of the second generation, 100% American kids with still strong ties to their countries of origin, helping to build the multi-ethnic world of Houston of the 21st century.
So in Houston, when did the Asian demographic begin to shift upward? Where did that happen?
So the big shift was in 1965, when the deeply racist laws that were promulgated in the 1920s that singled out Asians as an inferior subspecies of humanity, ineligible from ever becoming American citizens. Asians were banned entirely from coming to the country through the 20th century until 1965, when for the first time openings occurred. And the Asians came, you could either come through family reunification or by having skills that were demonstrably needed in short supply, being a professional of exceptional experience, exceptional talents, and Asians fill that second role and have come with extraordinary credentials and extraordinary education and are helping to build the Houston of the 21st century in a very powerful and positive way. And we are falling in love with each other, marrying, making multiracial babies.
Yes, we have.
The spirit of all Asian marriages in the last few years involved a non-Asian. So we're moving into this new world of a multi-ethnic place where ethnicity will become less and less relevant, and the real challenge is the class divide, as we've talked about many times.
And Dr. Chow, your research shows that Asians didn't waste time at all in playing a major role in Houston, true?
Yes, thank you for having me. The Asians came in the early 20th century to Houston, and even under the Jim Crow laws that Dr. Kleinberg was referring to, they were able to be financially successful, not all of them, some of them. And I think one of the major factors is that they tend to band together, family members helping each other, villagers helping each other, and together pooling their resources, they've succeeded financially and somewhat socially and civically. After 1965, the influx of the new Asian immigrants, many came in as professionals, and they came in with sets of degrees, and then they were primed to start quickly in their climb professionally in the society.
So your Chow Center for Asian Studies, what does that focus on?
That is a center that studies the transnational movement of not only people, but ideas and culture. And so we do not particularly single out or silo different regions of Asia, but we'd like to study a more global and a transnational perspective on the Asian situation.
I'll make sure I put that information on my website so people can go. I want people to get a broad understanding about what goes on within these various communities here. Final minute or so here. What most upsets you, Dr. Kleinberg, and I'll ask you too, Dr. Chow, what most upsets you about the level of hate that now is being exposed toward Asian Americans?
It's a reflection of the deep frustrations and fears that people have, especially less educated folks who are finding that the jobs are disappearing, and that education is a critical determinant of the ability to find a job that can support a family. But I guess I keep coming in our surveys, when you ask a representative random sample of us, there's enormous positive attitudes toward the diversity. Asians are, as I said, 1/3 of all marriages involving an Asian have involved a non-Asian. The second second generation are 100% American kids, and so it's hard not to be optimistic ultimately.
Dr. Chuck.
What's going on now is a reflection of the deep anxieties that people are feeling at the moment, given the job situation.
Right. Dr. Chow, your concern?
My concern is that of the group of people who are very anti-Asian, the kind of conversation that happens at home trickles down to the children. So I've heard in schoolyards that children are telling Asian kids that go back to where you come from. And this kind of deep-seated antagonism, I fear, just will not go away very easily.
Well, let's hopefully programs like this one, we can help to change that dynamic. Dr. Steve Kleinberg, Dr. Ann Chow, thank you so much for your insight this morning. We look forward to having you back again to continue this discussion.
Thank you, Khambrel.
Just ahead, who keeps track of this kind of hate? The Anti-Defamation League does, and as director of the Southwest region of the ADL, joins me next.
Finding an electricity plan can be confusing. PowerWizard's smart technology compares hundreds of plans, finds the best one, and manages the switching process on your behalf. Visit PowerWizard.com and never overpay for electricity ever again.
If you're driven by an adventurous heart, you're in luck. The 2021 Subaru Outback shares your spirit. With standard symmetrical all-wheel drive plus up to 33 miles per gallon. An available 260 horsepower turbocharged engine, advanced technology, and an available extra-large touchscreen. The best Outback ever. The 2021 Subaru Outback. Go where love takes you.
Get 0% for 63 months on a new 2021 Subaru Outback. Going on now and maintain the love with 2 years of complimentary maintenance.
Your sleep keeps me up at night. It's true, mattresses are my life's work. Before the showrooms, there was just me and this factory. We've studied every part of your mattress, every fabric, every coil, every stitch. Those details are what build Texas mattress makers. Every little thing that goes into making a great mattress.
Spring into savings with up to 20% off plus free delivery on select mattresses.
We do one thing. We create the best mattresses in Texas.
We're all just happy to be here and sharing this special day and contribute as much as we can.
Volunteering like this is another very personal interaction to get to work with the family members and build a house. We're having a great time.
Being part of UT Position, it's all about also hope in our community. Knowing that somebody's going to live in this house and I had something to do with it, it's just that right there made for everything, made my day.
The 8th annual KPRC2 Habitat Home, presented by our proud partners at UT Health.
Oh, yeah, dude, that doesn't look good.
I know what to do. I'm going to cashnetusa.com. I can apply in minutes, and if approved, I can have the money as soon as the same business day.
Go to cashnetusa.com to apply for the money you need.
The organization Stop AAPI Hate has been keeping track of hate incidents against Asians from March of last year through the end of February this year. It says almost 4,000 were reported to them. Almost 70% were verbal assaults, 20% shunning or avoidance, 11% physical assaults. The organization says this represents an underreporting of actual incidents and is a big increase from the previous year. One of the many things the Anti-Defamation League does is proactively fight against any kind of hate. Mark Tubin is the regional director of ADL Southwest and joins me this morning. Good morning, sir. You know, our country seems more divided than ever. The level of hate is going up. What does the ADL keep track of regarding hate out there against any kind of ethnic group?
Yeah, good morning, and thank you for having me. Unfortunately, we are more divided, and the level of hate has significantly increased throughout our nation. But these results are entwined with hate inciting our divisiveness and our divisiveness providing the environment for hate to proliferate. ADL tracks anti-Semitism and all forms of hate from a variety of sources, whether hate crimes or hate incidents. We look at crimes and incidents such as discrimination, dissemination of propaganda like leafleting of white supremacist propaganda, assaults, and murders. Our website, adl.org, contains some of the most sophisticated technology for understanding the where, when, how, and against whom these incidents and crimes are being committed. And as you said, there has been a dramatic rise in hate crimes and incidents committed against Asian Americans since the pandemic broke out.
And so you can actually track the stats that have taken place during the pandemic and up. You can see there's a definite difference between before the pandemic and after, huh?
Yes, and most of the reporting of the incidents has been through the AAPI Stop Hate portal. We also have a online portal for people to report. And most of the reporting, as I said, has come through Stop AAPI Hate. And their statistics, as you said, in the past year have shown almost 4,000 incidents, which range from, sort of name calling and shaming to assaults. And as we've seen recently, even just sort of random on the street attacks, which have led to deaths.
You have a No Place for Hate program that's in schools. Do you have something similar, or you think something like that could work outside of a school system that obviously a lot of us could use that kind of terminology and actually be taught?
Education is the key. If we're going to change this environment where hate is growing, education ultimately is the key. And our website actually contains some educational programs that families or schools can use. And so, these things can be adopted for any kind of hate. And the No Place for Hate program that we have isn't just for anti-Semitism. It addresses all kinds of hate because, whether hate is directed against Jews or it's directed against Asians or blacks or Latinx, we all have to face it together because, whoever's in the target this week, it could be somebody else next week. What's happened with regard to this pandemic is that Asians have been used as a convenient scapegoat. This is something that's common, and who knows next time what group might be scapegoated as well. And so we all have to work together in order to address these issues.
I'll make sure I put the ADL site on my website as well so people can find out how they can better educate themselves about that. Mark Tubin, thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you.
Up next, the chair of the Houston chapter of the American Leadership Forum with a very personal view of what's happening and how we can all help move forward.
Every year, Texans spend billions of tourism and gambling dollars at casinos in Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and New Mexico. Billions that could be staying here. This November, the legislature can allow Texans to vote to build 4 world-class destination resorts and casinos. Premier gaming, destination shopping, world-class restaurants, and new entertainment venues. Let's boost our economy, create tens of thousands of jobs, and fund vital services here at home.
What'd you think?
The hero was ingenuous.
Did you hear that? Private college tuition is what that was. Do you think our investment plan can handle it?
Also, I wish her friends had more dimensionality.
Because she's getting in. Okay, time for bed. I never sleep.
Help quiet your second guessing.
What are you...
With a second opinion from Wells Fargo Advisors.
Sometimes technology can be a tangled mess, but not in the all-new Hyundai Elantra. It's the only vehicle in its class to offer completely wireless Apple CarPlay, which means the Elantra will never tie you down. The office? Hey, Abby. That's another story. The Hyundai Elantra. The longer you live, the more there is to life.
Get 0% APR plus 0 payments for 90 days on the Elantra or Sonata, or get up to $3,000 in savings. Visit buyhyundai.com.
Houston, the most diverse city in the nation, a badge we wear proudly. Join KPRC2 in celebrating the culture, the pride, and community unique to our city with Voices of Houston, an opportunity to spotlight you and other people across the greater Houston area making a difference, making Houston an even better place to call home. Look for your stories on air and online. Voices of Houston, only on KPRC2. We finished the program today talking with Quan Vu, American Leadership Forum Board Chair and partner at Foley and Lardner LLP. Good morning, Quan. Good for you to be here. This increase in hate incidents is very personal to you. You've talked about how much of it becomes because of the demographic nervousness of changes in this country, and this community is unsettling. It's unsettling for some people.
Yes, that's absolutely right, Khambrel. Change is inevitable. Whether it comes from demographic change or technological change or once-in-a-century pandemic or anything else. And Houston, as one of the most diverse cities in the country, is at the forefront of this change. And while change can be exciting, there's just no doubt that it can be very unsettling and discomforting and scary to many others. And this fear of change often gives rise to a spike in hate crimes and incidents and discrimination.
And
unfortunately, Asian Americans often bear the brunt of, and other minority populations often bear the brunt of this fear.
And Asians tend to not be vocal about these things when it happens to them either, does it?
That's right. There's a silence of self-reporting, which is really unfortunate in the Asian American community. And so therefore, it's really important that Asian Americans speak up and speak out when they're seeing hate crimes or discrimination. But just as importantly as what Asian Americans can do, I think it's very important that our community helps us take steps to combat hate. And there are a number of things that you can do, but I like to classify those in sort of 3 buckets. The first is that we have to increase understanding in our community. We have to seek to educate ourselves and help others understand the root causes of hate and discrimination and the impact it's having on the Asian American and other minority communities. And this can come through things like diversity training or reading about the history of Asian Americans in our community. But I think it comes best from active listening and open dialogue with one another, where we can create a safe space to explore our differences with respect and openness and empathy. Second, we all have to show up. It's not enough to just talk. We have to start taking actions. Report or self-report hate crimes. We have to advocate for awareness in our workplace and our community. We have to support Asian American businesses and causes and other minority businesses and causes. And we have to help others understand that phrases like the Kung flu or the China viruses are not just punchlines, but they actually cause resentment to build up over time and leads to hate and violence. And then third, we really need to work together. What Asian Americans are suffering today in this country is very similar to what Irish Americans and Polish Americans and European Americans once faced, and what the African American community and the Latino community and other minority groups are now facing. Hate and discrimination have common root causes: fear of the other and fear of change. And as a community, we don't have to pick and choose to support one minority group over the other. We should support all of them.
You know what, Quan, words that are amazing. I want to ask you to stick around for Newsmakers Extra and add your comments about your own personal story. If you'll do that, that'll be great. I want to thank you for being here this week. We're going to have that in just a moment. This community has great leaders, by the way. American Leadership Forum is one of those. You can count on them to help with that process. This week on Houston Newsmakers has been a wonderful opportunity talking with you. Remember Brian Babin on Newsmakers Extra coming up on the Newsmakers page on click2houston.com. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next week.